Coming off a dramatic win against the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals are set to face the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams in an important divisional matchup. In this video, I'm going to preview the game and talk about some of the key matchups therein. Now, when you look at the injury report, the Cardinals are actually going into this game healthier than they've been in either of their first two games. All the players on the Cardinals injury report, except for Rondale Moore and Ezekiel Turner, have practiced this week. In particular, the Cardinals should have J.J. Watt and might be getting Trayvon Mullen for the first time this season. Now, the Rams, on the other hand, have some key injuries right now. Center Brian Allen hasn't practiced, and three of their defensive backs, Kobe Durant, Jordan Fuller, and David Long Jr. are all banged up, and that's with cornerback Troy Hill recently going on the IR. Of course, the Rams still have Jalen Ramsey, but with that cornerback group banged up, the Cardinals might be able to take advantage of that. And receiver Van Jefferson also hasn't practiced this week. Both teams are coming into this game with a 1-1 record. Both teams were blown out in week 1 by good teams, and both teams narrowly won in week 2. But those wins in week 2 were qualitatively different. The Rams built up a lead against the Atlanta Falcons, only to see the Falcons come back and make it a close game in the end. The Cardinals, on the other hand, fell behind in the first half and had a dramatic come-from-behind victory, punctuated by a fumble recovery in overtime that was returned for the game-winning touchdown. While the Rams did manage to hold on and win in week 2, the Cardinals win was the kind that builds momentum and confidence for a team. But the Rams have reason to be confident as well. Sean McVay has a 10-1 record against Cliff Kingsbury. Rams fans and Cardinals fans alike are vividly aware of this record. But what's also burned into the memories of both of these fan bases is the most recent game between these two teams. Last season's wildcard game, in which the Rams blew out the Cardinals by a score of 34-11. The Rams and Rams fans have reasons to be confident going into this game. The Cardinals are clearly the underdog here. But even as the underdog, it does seem like they're catching the Rams at a good time. Matthew Stafford has struggled coming out of the gate this year. Through 2 games, Stafford has 512 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. His quarterback rating of 80.7, PFF offensive grade of 65.2, and PFF passing grade of 63.7 are all pedestrian numbers. Now, it's hard to know if this is just a slow start or if there's something going on with Stafford's arm. There have been reports that Stafford's been dealing with tendonitis in his elbow, and that could be impacting his play. But either way, the Cardinals need to find a way to get pressure on Stafford in this game. Now, fortunately for the Cardinals, the Rams' offensive line isn't the same as it was last year. Left tackle Andrew Whitworth retired and has been replaced by tackle Joe Noteboom. The Rams selected Noteboom in the 3rd round of the 2018 NFL Draft, and he's played well at points in spot duty. But he's struggled thus far this year. And when you look at the PFF grades from the Rams offensive line, the entire left side of the offensive line has struggled. But the Cardinals are going to need to have some improved pass rush production in order to take advantage of that. Thus far this season, the Cardinals have only managed 1 sack, the sack by J.J. Watt early in the game against the Raiders. Now, despite that lack of sacks, they have been able to generate some pressure. They've had 13 hits and 20 quarterback hurries. And some of their defensive linemen, like Zach Allen, Rashard Lawrence, J.J. Watt, have been playing really well. And outside linebacker Dennis Gardeck, although he hasn't recorded a sack, has also played really well thus far. Marcus Golden has struggled, and they're going to need to get him going. But if the Cardinals can manage to generate some pass rush against that Rams offensive line, that could go a long way in helping this team to win. Now, on the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray has also started out a little bit slow this season, but he does seem to be playing better than Stafford has thus far. Murray's put up 470 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He has a quarterback rating of 85.9, a PFF offensive grade of 75.2, and a PFF passing grade of 67.4. On top of that, he's added 57 yards rushing and 1 rushing touchdown, and has a PFF running grade of 90.0. Now, these aren't stellar numbers, but what's not reflected in these numbers is just how well Kyler Murray played in the second half of that Raiders game. He converted improbable play after improbable play to keep that offense going, to lead the team to overtime, which then allowed the defense to make a huge play that won the game for them. But if Kyler Murray is going to be able to lead this Cardinals offense to a win over the Rams, the Cardinals are going to need to have a plan for how to deal with Aaron Donald. Donald is arguably the best player at any position in the NFL. He's had PFF grades of 90 or higher in every one of his NFL seasons. This is a player who's had double-digit sacks in 6 of his 8 seasons, had 20.5 sacks in 2018. Donald is a player you have to game plan for. You have to find a way to keep him from wrecking your game plan. But it's not an impossible task. The Cardinals managed to hold Aaron Donald to 0 sacks when they beat them early last season. It is possible, but it's not easy. Now, the good news for the Cardinals is that their offensive line does seem to be playing well right now. They struggled in week 1 with Justin Pugh out, but they played really well against the Raiders. It won't be easy, but there's reason to hope this offensive line is up to the task. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the Cardinals are going to need to account for Kupp. Kupp is picked up right where he left off last season. He has 24 receptions for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 games this season. Byron Murphy and the Cardinals cornerbacks have a challenge ahead of them with Kupp. But the good news is they played really well last week. In fact, Byron Murphy Jr. held Davante Adams to 2 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown. Now, I don't think he's going to shut down Kupp the way he did Adams, but with Van Jefferson banged up and maybe not even going to play, the Cardinals might be able to hone in on Kupp and try to minimize his impact on the game. And if they can do that, that can go a long way for them. But make no mistake about it, this is a tough matchup. The Rams are still the defending champions, Sean McVay's record against Cliff Kingsbury speaks for itself, and the Cardinals are absolutely the underdog here. But with the way they won that Raiders game, this Cardinals team has a ton of confidence. They're getting healthy, and Kyler Murray seems to be trending in the right direction. Now, if you want more info about the Cardinals, be sure to check out azsportsunderground.com. At azsportsunderground.com, you'll find articles about all the Arizona sports teams written by people like myself and some other great fans who love their Arizona teams. Be sure to check it out. And also, please be sure to click like on this video and subscribe to the Cardinal Rule for more Arizona Cardinals content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Cardinal Rule.